Welcome to Reviewing the Ring. WWE puts it out there, I review, and get it back to you. Today I am going to look at Extreme Rules 2017. Pre-show match, Kalisto versus Apollo Crews. For a pre-show match, it was fine. Things happened. Kalisto got the win. Good job, boys. Alright, Intercontinental Championship match. Ambrose defending against The Miz. And the stipulation for this was that Ambrose can lose the title by disqualification. Miz is your new Intercontinental Champion. Great match. The way that the stipulation was folded into the in-ring storytelling was fantastic. You saw Ambrose sort of wrestling with himself, not to use the chair. You know, he's fighting not to get DQ'd. There was a nice spot where Maurice slapped Miz in order to sort of bring back the old school Eddie Guerrero cheat to win type deal. The referee, very, very lenient. Miz threw Ambrose into the ref, so there were a lot of close, is the referee going to disqualify Ambrose? Is it going to happen? But in the end, Miz ends up skull-crushing finale on Ambrose, new Intercontinental Championship. Great match. Alright, the mixed tag match at Extreme Rules had no stipulations other than let's give Sasha Banks something to do. And it was the team of Sasha Banks and Rich Swann going against Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. Sasha Banks and hometown boy Rich Swann actually got the win. As soon as you saw Swann was from Baltimore, you're like, uh-oh, might not be good for Mr. Swann. But Team Sasha and Rich end up with the win. Decent match. Alright, kendo stick on a pole match. Alexa Bliss defending her title against Bayley in what turned out to be an absolute crush match because Alexa beat Bayley in less than 5 minutes, and it was an absolute atrocious match. And that leads me into really looking at the state of the women's division on Raw. This was so unbelievable, Bayley losing in the way that she did. It had been built up in a way that will she or won't she, sort of shedding this really, really bad version of this Bayley character about her being, so close to her parents, and she's basically like a baby and things like that. And there was absolutely no payoff whatsoever. She didn't, quote unquote, snap or become broken or anything during or after the match, swinging the kendo stick or anything like that. She just absolutely got crushed. The rest of the women's division, where is all of this going? You have Alexa. She's a great heel champ. She's perfect in that role. Bayley is an absolute mess right now. Nia was in Baltimore. She's on the pre-show. What has she been doing? Mickie James, MIA, where has she been? Dana Brooke, I think they even forgot she's on the roster. Sasha Banks is dwelling on 205 Live, messing with cruiserweights. And look at SmackDown. We have a Money in the Bank ladder match between the women to figure out who's going to be the #1 contender whenever they decide to cash in against Naomi. I'm looking forward to that match as much as I am looking forward to what the men's side are going to do in that ladder match. And you put that side by side with what Raw is doing with their women's division, and it's a mess right now. So, WWE, fix it. Alright, tag title time. In a cage, Hardy Boys defending against Sheamus and Cesaro in what turned out to be a pretty fantastic match. You had all kinds of good high spots done in the ring. You had the white noise off the top rope. Well, super white noise because it was from the top rope. And Cesaro also chipped in to sort of sell how brutal of a move that it can be. The match saw Jeff Hardy actually escape the cage fairly early, leaving Matt in a 2-on-1 situation. So it wasn't really spelled out beforehand how it was going to work, if you only needed one tag team partner to reach outside of the cage for the win. But Jeff hit the floor first. There was no bell rung, so we're looking at a situation where both of the men have to escape the cage. During the Matt Hardy beatdown, Jeff sees this, and we get it. There's a Hardy Boy, there's a cage, somebody's going off of something. And in this case, it was Jeff Hardy scaling the cage, backflip into the ring on Sheamus and Cesaro. Everybody's out, and that is going to bring us to a pretty good finish. Matt picks up Jeff, he's dragging him across the ring, they're going to go out the door. Sheamus and Cesaro, after they recuperate from the somersault done by Jeff, they are going to climb over the cage. So Matt, he's pulling Jeff, Sheamus and Cesaro's climbing down. Who's got to get there? Who's got to get there? And Sheamus and Cesaro are your new Raw Tag Team Champions in what turned out to be a very, very good cage match. Well done. Cruiserweight Championship stipulation being it is a submission match. We have Neville defending his title against Austin Aries, and it was a good to great match. I know a lot of people don't like the cruiserweights. You could definitely see in the arena not a lot of people cared, but Neville and Aries are good at what they do. I enjoy watching them. This feud has been going on since WrestleMania. Aries has lost every time, whether it's been through cheating or just straight up clean in the middle of the ring like it was in WrestleMania. And the match was fine all throughout. Aries had come into the match sort of injured, and that played into the storytelling and things like that. Neville did tap, but it was on the outside of the ring, so apparently it has to happen inside the ring. So technically, Aries could have won, but it had to be an in-the-ring finish, so not quite. He did miss a suicide dive on the outside, hitting the barricade. Neville rolls Aries into the ring, hits his red arrow pretty hard from the way it was sold and the way he landed. And he ended up putting the Rings of Saturn on Austin Aries, and match over. Neville defends. All right, so seemingly this is going to be the blow-off match of this Austin Aries-Neville feud. It really got me in a difficult position because I like A-Double. I like what he does. I like what he could do with the championship around his waist. But really, at the end of the day, Neville is doing such good work right now as the champion that I am fine with him retaining. It is kind of a shame the way that this feud is going to be sort of pushed aside, as it could have been so much better. But at the end of the day, Neville is a great cruiserweight champion. All right, the Fatal 5-Way. The winner of the match goes on to challenge Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire. Okay, we just got to deal with it. So, match, we have Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, Samoa Joe, and Finn Balor. All right, going into this match, I most definitely thought it could be match of the night, and at the end of the pay-per-view, it most definitely was match of the night. All five guys put on one heck of a clinic in that ring. Even right in the beginning, Roman was the only person in the ring, as the other four were battling outside of the ring, and he's just stretching. He hadn't done a thing yet. The crowd is just screaming at him, and it's just one of those little moments during the match that was fantastic. Everybody had their moment to shine in the match. Roman definitely had the beginning part of the match to himself. He's taking everyone to Samoan Drop City, I guess, for lack of a better term. Finn Balor had a great little segment where he was just mudhole stomping everyone as they were trying to come into the ring, which eventually led to him doing his suicide dive over the top rope onto everybody. Rollins is a face now, so he gets to do all of his aerial moves that he's capable of, showing really just how great of a wrestler he is. Eventually, the two heels of the match, Bray and Joe, formed an unlikely alliance, I guess you could call it, and really dominated for the majority of the middle part of the match. They'd had a nice little segment. They took the stairs apart and just ran around the ring, clubbing everybody with it. Bray was using a chair on Balor, who really took a pretty good beating in the match when it was time for the heels to sort of shine and do their thing. Of course, that alliance didn't last long, as the heels eventually turned on each other, and that is when things really got extreme. As everybody was outside of the ring, Finn Balor sort of came back from his beating at the heels and set up Bray Wyatt for, I guess he's going to go for a coup de grace from the top rope onto the announce table. And that was interrupted by Joe, who put Balor into the clutch. And as they are basically walking back away from Bray and the table, there is a spear from Roman Reigns. Not just a spear so powerful, because Roman Reigns is delivering said spear, that they go through the barricade into the Timekeeper's area. And the Timekeeper, God bless you, man, he threw a flop job that would make any NBA player in this finals very, very proud. It's comical and hysterical to watch him fly back from the impact. Carnage galore over in the Timekeeper's area. Witnessing all the carnage that had just occurred on the outside of the ring, Mr. Seth Rollins decides that he is going to make himself the highlight of the show. Bray Wyatt is still sprawled out on the German announce table, which has become the Spanish announce table all of a sudden over these years. And Rollins delivers a frog splash from the top rope onto Bray Wyatt, crushing the table. Highlight of the night. After all the carnage that has occurred on the outside and the match is starting to wind down, and we have Roman and Finn Balor in the ring, and it looks like Balor is going to pull it off and go on to fight Lesnar at the July pay-per-view. I'm not going to say it anymore. No more. So, coup de grace on the Roman, getting ready for the pin. 1, 2, and in comes Samoa Joe. Clutch. Balor passes out. Samoa Joe, #1 contender. And overall, the match was terrific. Everybody had their moment to shine. There were funny parts. There were brutal parts. Tables were broken. Chairs were used. It was great. Absolutely, positively, no complaints. Loved it, start to finish. All right, so that was Extreme Rules. Absolutely fantastic pay-per-view, women's match aside. Some surprises in there. I wasn't expecting the IC title to be so well done, but that match was absolutely fantastic. The Cruisers went out. They did their job. The cage match, we got our Hardy flying off the top of a cage. The Fatal 5-Way was, I'll just say, perfect. So overall, definite A. So Joe's the #1 contender. All right, fantastic. I like it. I hope they don't just feed him Lesnar next month. I think that would be a tremendous waste. Joe definitely looks the part. I mean, when you look at him, that guy can go with Brock. There is no doubt in my mind. The way his finisher, the Coquina Clutch, has been built up thus far. The people that he's been putting out, they're not tapping to it. He's putting people to sleep. And going up against a former UFC guy, that's a good thing to have. Joe is very physical. You could almost say a strong, stylish type of wrestler. That's why him and Nakamura did so good in NXT. And I think he and Brock are going to put on one heck of a show. We saw it with Goldberg and Brock at Mania. I think if they keep it short, keep it brutal, it doesn't have to be some 20-minute affair or anything like that. We definitely believe that Joe can go out there and knock some heads around. We know Brock can do that. So if they don't necessarily have to book it like they did with Goldberg and Lesnar, but if they put on the kind of match and time length that they gave Goldberg and Lesnar at WrestleMania, I think next month's pay-per-view could be an absolute fantastic match. Don't bury Joe, though. Don't do it. As always, try to do better next time. I'll see you later.